there is productivity in nothingness.
Ooh.
There is
I love
something
that.
to this.
I love
you
that.
keep thinking, you keep feeling guilt because you're not productive.
Yeah.
And there was the week of doing nothing, and then there was the next week of forgiving myself for doing nothing.
Forgiving yourself for how you treated yourself.
Exactly, which honestly, I had to pivot. It was like, no, this is what I needed. In order for me to be productive,
Yeah.
I need this time to myself.
Yes.
It needs to happen.
Welcome to Resilience by Design, the podcast where we stop treating people like the weakest link in the system. I'm Dr. Cynthia Sutherland.
I'm Alexis Robinson, and we're bridging the gap here between burnout and breaches, because the biggest cyber risk isn't technical, it's actually human.
I know, that's the Jamaican. I'll say, right now when we look at how people are building products these days, they're building products for the future faster than we can recover from the present. I've worked across 16 different industries.
Yeah.
And when I look at all of the brilliant minds that I've worked with, I think back on how people have been treated from the perspective of just as if they're just a number.
Yeah.
Or they don't matter.
Exactly.
Or
that they're only there to address the mission or the outcomes that the business needs to do.
Yes.
And that's fine if you can think that way if you want to. You can.
If you want longevity.
Exactly.
And you want a flourishing business.
Right.
Where you have employees that are loyal.
Exactly.
In 2013, I was serving as the Security Operations Branch Chief for the Office of the Secretary of Defense. And at that time, we were just coming off of a government shutdown.
Oh.
My counterparts on the other side of the government, they were trying to get their friends onto the government contracts.
Right.
So they put my friend's company that had the contract on 1-month contracts. And when you add the lack of clarity, the instability, people were just going through a lot at that time. And for me, the moment that redefined me is the fact that a friend of mine, very dear friend of mine, broke under that pressure. He committed suicide.
Oh.
And that suicide redefined my mission. It redefined me as a leader. And it made me think, how can we go from securing the data and the systems to how do we secure the people?
Right.
That secures the data and the systems.
And not to be callous about it, but more likely his loss also had an impact on the business too.
But what it made me think about is, how do I want to show up as a leader to prevent that? And some of the things that I did were to, one, set boundaries for my team and my program.
Like what?
Boundaries like understanding that at a certain time, my team is gone. Like at 6 o'clock, that's it.
Right.
The expectations is tickets that are submitted after that time will get answered the following day.
Right.
And so creating those boundaries, and then also making sure that people understood that what my team's functions were and were not.
How was it just resetting expectations, especially with going from a team where more than likely they would take every ticket, they would take every request?
So my team at that time was before I took it over, it was the dumping ground for cyber professionals that no one wanted because no one knew how to handle cybersecurity at that time.
Oh.
This was that transition period. Okay. Cybersecurity didn't become an official term until around 2013, 2014.
Okay.
And so for us, prior to me taking that role on, people were just putting people, it was like the land of lost toys.
Exactly.
And so when I came on board, I'm looking at this team and I'm like, they all have, just like any other team, everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, right?
Right.
And so me as a leader is, how do I work with this team? How do I build this team and leverage their strengths in a manner that allows us to be successful?
Right.
And so doing things like pushing them to be better, identifying their own weaknesses, and making sure that I stand up for them in meetings.
Yeah.
Because I remember working at a organization previously, and this was early in my career, maybe like 4 years into my career, and I was working on a service desk, and I saw how this manager, my manager, would take whatever the client would ask and just do whatever. They didn't push back. They didn't set boundaries. They didn't talk to the staff. They just came in, hey, we're doing this.
Exactly.
And what the most valuable lesson she taught me is how I did not want to be as a manager.
Sometimes when you go into these environments, and people take it two different ways. I tell my teams that I work with, and I tell also my colleagues, because now I'm an IC, so it's a different dynamic. I'm usually influencing through others. What the thing I usually tell people, there's two things you can deal with, or two things you're gonna do when you're in an environment where you either don't feel safe or you don't feel supported. You're either gonna literally adopt that same environment and do the same things and normalize the behavior.
Yeah.
Or you say, this is an example of what I'm not gonna do. Everything is a learning, is honestly a learning lesson for anyone.
Yeah.
But what I always tend to see is people dealing with unprocessed trauma from those bad experiences or from those hard experiences.
Yes.
And they haven't figured out the mechanisms to, how do I pivot? How do I not perpetuate that same trauma elsewhere? Because we do have a responsibility, and people don't talk about it a lot. Just because you experience something and you want to normalize it, now you have literally perpetuated that thing. The excuse of, oh, well, that was what happened to me, is an excuse, but it's also denying the fact that you're responsible for changing that narrative.
Yeah. And I will say, to that point, in the tech industry, we've seen how people have normalized burnout.
Bad behavior and burnout.
Yes.
Yes.
As if it's a badge of honor.
Yes, they do. I work 40 hours in 2 days. Like, how can that happen? What? Like, why? You made that, the numbers, the math ain't math. But okay, good for you. Or it's like, I worked all night. Well, I worked all weekend. And you see the one-upping.
Yes, yes.
And if you're a person that has recovered or has not experienced that, you're sitting back looking at, are y'all crazy? And then you like, am I crazy for not going as hard?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you were in the rat race trying to perform just like everybody else.
Yes, yes.
And
the normalcy.
Yes.
The normalcy. And then people automatically think that speed equals progress.
Can I add on to that?
Go ahead.
Not only speed equals progress, but a full calendar. You know, the ones that be going from meeting to meeting to meeting.
Like,
and you're just
like when you getting work done.
Right, exactly. Or when you are away and you're like, hey, I am whiteboarding out the solution. Like, you're just playing around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That statement is also how we have burnout.
Yeah.
Right? Because one of the things that you look at is that, you whiteboard sessions to see the process,
Yes.
to draw them out, to identify the flaws, solidify them. But then people say, oh, that's soft work. No, that is the work.
That is actually
because number one, people talk about, oh, we want to automate. How can you automate something and you don't know what that process is?
You don't know.
That's what automation is.
Exactly.
But if you go, oh, I'm going to create this process, or I'm going to automate this, well, is that the process that you need for the function?
Exactly. Or you do it without talking to anybody.
Exactly. And so then people look at it like, okay, let's just, go do the thing. No, you need to whiteboard it out.
Yeah.
You need to document it. You need to evaluate to see what that looks like. Because when you do that documentation, it's document, educate, communicate.
Exactly.
Document, educate, communicate.
Or there's a lot of whataboutisms.
Well,
and those whataboutisms can be solved or addressed somewhat in those whiteboarding sessions.
Exactly.
And I get a lot of product proposals that come to me, or customer problems that they think is going to be solved by a problem, by a product. You can tell immediately that they didn't think anything out. They had it, they had the problem, they had the data, they gathered it all together. And like, this is going to be the solution. And it's like, but you haven't thought about basic answers to certain questions. And now you're stuck with a whole bunch of no's, or you're now spending all your time addressing every single question that leadership has because you haven't thought about the end to end.
Thought it through.
And so now, even though you came up with it quick, your process to getting it actually launched is slow because you didn't really bake in to anyone else's process, understanding what the risks actually are. Because
Yes.
you didn't take the time to sit back and think.
And that's that time that's needed to actually push for an effort
Yeah,
so that you now have something to look at when ad hoc stuff comes.
exactly.
And so now you're not under, if you have it documented
Yeah.
and educate and communicate it, now you can reference that when things get fast,
Yeah,
when emergencies happen,
agreed.
when life be lifing.
Life be
Because
life.
sometimes you walk in one morning and you just can't remember, like, what did I do yesterday?
Exactly.
And so now you can go back to that process and figure out, okay, I stopped here.
Yes.
And so that's why for me, from a mental health perspective, I wholeheartedly support Secure by Design as a mental health practice.
Agreed.
This allows you to not only address a lot of the flaws up front,
Yeah.
look at some of the challenges, but as a cyber professional who has grown up in the industry where cyber wasn't a thing,
Yeah.
and so we always got products at launch,
Yeah.
or we would find them after launch via a scan
Exactly. Or to be honest, just being real, a breach.
or a breach. Yes.
Or customers having expectations of certain cybersecurity standards that are in place. And you launched your product without meeting any of those expectations. And honestly, from running the FedRAMP program for a long time, that happened a lot. And when I say that happened a lot, it's okay, great. You pitched me on the product. It's in beta. I'm using it. Wonderful. Now I have to actually get it ATO'd. If you're in the government, that's what you have to do. Before you can use any product, you have to have your cybersecurity officer or CISO, whatever, sign off saying it's okay to be able to put put mission critical data.
And as a CISO, that's called the approval to operate.
Exactly.
And that means that you've been scanned. Not only do I know the scope, the boundary of that system, I now know everything that's in that boundary. That includes not just the data, the software and the hardware, but it also includes the people. It includes the processes. And that's one of the flaws that I see with a lot of I'll say the ATO process, because a lot of people want to do the ATO on the system, but I really support the ATO on the processes and the program, right? Because if I see that a program has a culture of security integrated into it, it doesn't matter the product. They're going to produce a secure product.
Agreed.
And so for me, it's looking at the overall program, how they operate, because even though people say, oh, humans are the weakest link, it's not that we're weak. So when working in tech, it's not just about your competency. It's also about the things that shape who you are, right?
Agreed.
And so when we talk about innovation, let's take a step back. When we talk about innovation, what are we asking people to do when we say be innovative, right? We're asking people to think outside the box. And people are like, well, what is that box? That box is...
Wait, let me ask it. What is the box referring to, Dr. Cynthia Sutherland?
That box is the culture, your religion, your habits, and your assumptions. And when you look at that box, that's everything that you know. That's that comfy zone. That's what you know and what you know that you don't know. For example, I know about HVAC.
Yeah.
But I don't want to know it.
Exactly.
So I know what I don't know, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
Right? Now, innovation is when we're telling people to step outside that box to what they don't know that they don't know.
Exactly.
What they don't know that they don't know. And that part, getting people to come out of their comfort zone and to go into that space, right?
That's hard.
Where we're telling you, hurry up and be innovative.
Right.
Hurry up and do this. You're asking them to hurry up and break away from their things that they know, their culture, their religion, their habits. And to be honest, a lot of people enter the workforce with trauma that they did not heal from.
Oh, yes. And they're still perpetuating as they go into it.
So when you bring the box and the trauma,
Yeah.
so you got that area, and then you say, hey, be innovative. Ooh, this is what I grew up. This is what I know.
This is what I stick my pride into, especially when you are bringing people that have pride in their space or that their identity is associated with the work that they've done. And you're saying, hey, scrap that and let's do this over here. It's people are so shook. But what about my job because of this?
Yeah.
And so even doing work a different way
Yes. Yeah.
can shake that box.
Yes. And when, as assistant at the joint staff, and I had to also serve as the senior cloud expert for the quote unquote Jedi contract, my
Yeah.
requirements were, what do the combatant commands need?
Right.
What does the war fighter need?
Right.
And going through capturing that from a cyber perspective. And so when approached with migrating to the cloud and then getting pushback from across the department,
We're getting pushback on.
we call it FUD, fear, uncertainty,
Yep.
doubt, because they were afraid of what was to come. They didn't know the technology.
Right.
What is cloud?
Right.
What
Yeah.
kind of technology is it?
Absolutely.
Uncertainty.
Yeah.
How is this going to impact my job?
Right.
How is this going to impact my team? And then doubt, I don't believe it.
Exactly.
Like, you got to show me what that looks like.
Oh, I've seen many technologies come and go,
Like that
and
part.
then it goes away.
And so when you're faced with FUD
Yeah.
in the tech industry, the primary solution for FUD is education
Agreed.
and engagement.
Also, can I also say
Sure.
empowerment? Because I feel like if people don't see themselves
That's exactly what that is.
in this solution
Yes.
that's happening here, then they're like, well, it's going away without me.
And so for me, it's addressing just that. It's going to every 3-star, every 4-star, every executive and asking them, what is your challenge? What do you understand this to be or not to be? And then talk to them about how this connects with their mission, right?
Yes.
And their mission, number one, their team, number two, and then them individually.
Okay.
Because like you said, this is where, as we navigate through, because AI is just another innovative solution,
That's
right?
true.
We've had before, we've had cloud, we had internet. Before that, we had the assembly line, we had steamboats, we had
Yeah.
railroad. We've gone through a long list of innovation.
This ain't new.
This is not anything new.
But the FUD, I'm going to take that.
Mhm.
The FUD that you're talking about, what people are bringing into work,
Yes.
burnout,
Yes.
that isn't new.
It isn't new, right? Because when we look at right now where we are, AI reminds me of what we went through in the industrialization age. You remember back in the early 1900s,
Yeah.
they used to work like 60, 70-hour work weeks.
Agreed.
They fought for 40-hour work weeks, fair wages, unions. They fought for the things to help make this work-life balanced.
Exactly.
Now, here we are again with another solution, another innovative solution
Agree. Yeah.
that is reshaping how we live our lives. And to make sure that we're effective at leveraging this, right? Because people are saying, oh, AI is going to create more billionaires in the next 5 years than anything, right?
Right.
So how do we leverage that? Upskilling,
Yes.
right? Retooling.
Yeah.
People say, oh, AI is taking jobs. No, AI is not taking jobs. People are using AI as an excuse. AI can be used to enhance you. It's an extension of who you are.
Agreed.
And so use it in a way that helps you be better at your business
Agreed.
to reduce that burnout.
But I will also say, and just bringing it back to the human side of it into the next piece of our deep dive, because I want to go into this too. Even though we're given the tools, if you do not change the behaviors with those tools, then you're going to still see the same problem because the expectations that leaders are going to have for people using AI is going to rise. It's still going to equal that 50, 60-hour work week. It's just not going to be more outcomes that they're going to actually expect coming out of you. But if you don't set the expectation, if you don't build those mechanisms for yourself to prevent burnout, it doesn't matter if you have another tool, it's going to make your job easier. Your job is going to be different.
Yeah.
And you're going to attack that just exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Because people are people, we're creatures of habit.
Yep.
And if you are not used to practicing some form of self-care,
Yeah.
you're just going to pivot to the next problem and attack it the same way, expecting a different result.
And it's like a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
It's like you running,
Yeah.
you ain't going nowhere.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
helping people understand those boundaries. And for me as a manager, as a leader, as an executive, I'm also the role model to show that,
Yes.
right? Because my team, if I'm online late at night, my team gonna feel like they gotta be online late at night.
Agreed.
And so me as the manager, as the leader, I have to set boundaries for myself.
Yes.
That also influences my team, because I've caught my team members online after I told them, "Hey, go take a break." Like having that conversation with our teams and standing up and being that role model for mental health, for boundaries, is the biggest way a manager, a leader can show and teach the next generation, or even those who are just burnt out, giving them resources on how to just reduce their mental bandwidth and just be.
Agreed. Oof. Okay. I also want to add to that. If you are responding to emails within 30 minutes,
Yes.
every single last one,
Yes.
if you are not taking vacation, it is very difficult to be able to enforce that to your teams. You're not setting the example.
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree.
And so other thing to go into this, bringing it back a little bit, we're talking about burnout and the cycles of burnout, and then what you as a leader needs to do to prevent that with your teams and set the right example. I gotta give a story. I gotta tell a story.
Tell a story.
I ain't gonna name names. I'm not gonna say who. So back when I was running a FedRAMP, and there was another continuous monitoring team that we were working with, and they were coming to me trying to get some best practices. Like, how are we getting this team running? How is this working? And I realized very quickly from analyzing this team that there was a couple things that were happening that happens actually very frequently in cybersecurity teams. Well, one, everyone is running to the next fire. It's escalations all day, every day. And so what I realized is they were treating everything in their mind. It's like, okay, we're gonna treat the high priority issues, the high priority escalations. That's what we're gonna work on. And it seemed fine. But when I went in, I'm like, well, shouldn't you be catching this way earlier? For the continuous monitoring team, what they were dealing with is sending out results over to sponsor or their customers that was required by law, that was required for cloud, required for FedRAMP, required for whatever is in the contract within that company that was hosting data on the cloud, right? For them, for that group. They were only dealing with if a customer was having a fire or an issue with it, or if they were in breach of some sort of a contract. And these are all just basic principles. Either like, oh, the vulnerabilities were still high. It could be they didn't necessarily do an update to their POAMs the right way or appropriately, or it was outdated information. And they were literally running from fire to fire. And they were not getting things at the root. They were not talking to their engineering teams, embedding certain security practices there so that they could be able to get their patch counts down by the time it actually would go out externally. They weren't actually having a plan for POAM management. It was more so, oh, if someone said something. Like it was a difficult situation with this team. And even further, you would say, okay, they need to have processes in place. But it always gets back to people. And here's why. They were going through it was a high turnover. It was almost like a person coming in was pretty much getting 3 days with the next person.
Because they were burnt
before
out.
they were going out. Exactly. They were burnt out. And they weren't, I'm not saying that they didn't have the money to hire. They had the money to hire. Recs were open. They had no issue there. But it was difficult bringing people in, or even getting other people that even wanted to go to cybersecurity in. Because here's the truth. If you do not handle burnout within your teams, or you have a reputation for not handling it, that news travels, especially if you're cybersecurity. And here's the talent pipeline problem. We're all picking from the same pool. It's the same, and you know it, especially here in DC.
Oh yeah, here in DC, everyone in cyber knows everyone.
Everyone knows everyone. Go to the same conferences.
Yes, the same events. And I'll give you an example. The Defense Department. I worked at the Pentagon from 2006 to 2000, 14 years. And in that time, I served as a federal defense consultant contractor and as a civilian.
Yeah.
And during that time, we used to call it the underground pipeline because people would leave the internet service provider for the building.
Yeah.
They would leave the IT service provider
Mm-hmm.
and then go to either Army, Navy, Air Force. And so we were all just trading and changing.
Yes.
And all the people did was just flip a badge.
Exactly.
Flip a badge. That was just
Exactly.
flip a badge. And so because we did not have a system that was connected in the early days,
Yeah.
people were able to move and do those things.
Oh, easy.
But then around the 07, 08 timeframe, the SecDef was like, hey, this was that SecDef then said, hey, I want one single IT service provider for the building. And early times, they were like, everybody's like,
Everybody had their own
no, they got their own fiefdoms. Okay, I need to, something's not right.
Yeah.
I went to my chief of staff and I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to quit.
Oh.
He's like, no, don't do that. And I said, why? He said, I need you to stay here and take one for the team. And I said,
I don't know.
take one for the team.
Take one
and
for
I was
the
like,
team.
hold on.
Wait. Let's assume on that note that take one for the team. That's the one I want to just put a mark in this. Say it right now. I'm tired of that.
Take one
No
for the
one
team.
likes take one for the team. No one appreciates it. No one cares about it. You say take one for the team. That means that person is already plotting, okay, if there's too many take one for the teams, you just cashed one of your take one for the teams. You got 3 take one for the team. For me, you got 3.5 take one for the teams before I'm on the way out. Cyber, they don't even have to give you 3. That's nice.
Yes.
That could have been the last one.
Yes. For me, that was one where it was like the last one. But what I did though, is that I had to take a step back and find out why did this microaggression, this racism and sexism hurt me so bad.
Wow.
And as I took a step back, I said, I'm gonna take my self-awareness journey. I need to figure out why am I feeling so bad. And so I sat and I started pulling back the onion of the different things that I had been through. Army veteran, being left for dead, fatherless daughter, a daddyless daughter type situation, teenage mom. And then pulling all that back, I realized it was my sexual assault trauma as a kid.
Ooh.
That kept popping up. And it was that the triggers, because they were saying things that triggered me, putting me in spaces that would trigger me. And so for me, it's like, I will not be able to navigate and be successful in my career if I don't know how to handle this. Growing up as a young Black girl in the projects, living in the ghetto, being called all kind of racial slurs and being told that, girls aren't smart.
Yeah.
For me, it's, I know who I am, but now I have to heal from this because it pops up. And so I went on my self-awareness journey to navigate all of this. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it was the most important thing that I had to do, because right after that, I was thrown in the snake pit of cyber. And we'll talk about this on another day.
I know.
But for that, it was, after that, I showed up, after that journey, I showed up knowing who I was, what I stood for, and I had my boundaries in place. And so for me, it's how do I show up as the best version of myself? That's how you do it, the self-awareness journey.
That's true.
And so that kept me from going through the burnout. So when you said that you were getting antsy and you were almost burnt out, I said, Alexis.
Oh, let's bring this back. Okay. It's the same
I said, Alexis?
Yes.
And then next thing you know, you're taking your sabbatical.
That's true.
So me going through that journey prepared me to be there for other engineers like yourself.
Oh, thank you. That one, bringing it back to that time, I don't want to get too emotional on the first episode, okay, that's what I want to do. But I did not know what to do. And so I'll talk a little bit about what led me to this sabbatical, because that's really, that really, it moved me.
And you're not the only one.
Right.
I had other females that I've had to help navigate through this,
Yeah.
where situations like, oh, I'm so mentally burnt out. And so then I asked the young lady, I said, hey, what time does daycare close? Because I know you just had a new baby. You know, what time does daycare close? She said, oh, well, I pick them up at 4 o'clock. I said, that's not the question I asked you. I asked you, what time does daycare close?
When do they close the door? When do they pay the fine?
Exactly. When do they start charging? You got 5 minutes after the clock.
Exactly.
Right? To go
when
get
do
the
you
kid.
have to? Exactly.
So it's what time did it? Because if the daycare closes at 6, why are you picking your kid up at 4 o'clock? That's 2 hours. You pay these people to take care of your most prized possession.
Yep.
You know they're good because they're there.
Right.
So let them stay there. Let them stay there. I don't care if you sit in the car eating ice cream while the kids look out the window at you eating.
And watch Real Housewives of Atlanta Reunion Part 2.
In the car.
In the car.
Yeah, take a nap in the car.
Mm-hmm.
In the car.
In the car.
All that. That is your decompression moment. That is when you take that time to regain and recoup. That's your recovery. And that's how you stay resilient. Taking advantage of the mechanisms that you put in place, like daycare, to help you manage your mental health.
And to be honest, just going into this for 2 seconds, you do need a little bit of a de-stress time.
After you come home.
It's a switch.
After you get off, yeah.
It's a full switch. Because what you don't want to do is bring that work stress and that's work mess home.
Yeah. So like for you,
yeah. So
how did you get to that point?
I'm not good talking about myself. I'll try. I will try. Here I go. Sorry. So I will say it was a domino effect of multiple things that came together. So this was like in 2022 for me. So first, I obviously was running the FedRAMP program, which was a high stress, high pressure program. It was not a week where a VP wasn't asking me a question. Even if it was good, there was always a VP asking me a question. There was always a launch of some service getting FedRAMP authorized and the promotions that had to go with that. There was always something. That was just the job itself. I just was going through a promotion as well. And people think, oh, it's a promotion. It's a good thing. What's the worry in that? Well, going through a promotion process with any company in corporate is not necessarily just, okay, I did the work and I got promoted. There is writing documents and proving and going back and forth and evidence, all of that to show that you're ready to go, presenting certain things, writing another document, even just on like strategies of what I would do if I was in that position. And I didn't get a yes right away. It was a no and then a yes, then a no and then a yes. Those hurdles of going back and forth was like a whiplash too. So when I finally got the yes for promotion, I was almost just like, okay. But I was already thinking, this was so difficult for me to even show that I had to prove that I was ready to be promoted. And then at the same time as my promotion, I was reorged. So for those that have gone through a reorg, it's like night and day is night. The people that you spend your time aligning with, you now have to have a different manager, a new ecosystem, new players, new priorities. Everyone also wants to inspect what you're doing to figure out how it works within the new mission of that org. That's a lot as well. And as Cynthia definitely called out to me many times over that year, I didn't have a good relationship with work. I had a work-life balance problem. And the fact that I had no boundaries. I was available all day, all night for anything. Worked weekends, was proud of it, had the badge of honor, like, yes. And to have all that happen all at once, it kind of broke me. And not knowing what to do at the same time was something that was very difficult for me as well. Like being stuck. Imagine going to your opening up your laptop and you can't read anything. And being as productive as you think you are, and all of a sudden you can't write an email. You literally can't do it.
That is the limitation. That is the burnout.
Yeah.
That is when you literally can't think of anything.
Yeah.
You open the laptop and nothing's connected.
Fog.
Just brain fog.
Exactly.
That's a huge indicator of burnout.
And more than likely, I wasn't eating right. I wasn't sleeping.
Wasn't drinking water.
Of course I wasn't drinking no water. No. I wasn't drinking no water. It was nothing. I wasn't doing anything.
That's why I can say I love our friend, one of our mutual friends, Mecca.
Yeah.
Mecca was like, hey, Cynthia, you drinking water? Hey, you
Exactly.
drinking water? You drinking water? I love having those coworkers that
Yeah.
keep you on your toes.
Exactly.
But then you have those coworkers like you that's like always in the office. And like, look, I done told you, but you're not listening. You still here? I'm going home.
So for me, it was a mental break.
Yep.
And that mental break required some time away. And I was talking to you. I was talking to so many different people of how do I take a break? I realized it was easier than I thought it was. You just submit in the system, talk to your manager, and then you gone. You gone. Now, then there was the question of what I'm going to do on sabbatical.
So for you, why did you say 3 months?
I actually sat back with myself on a weekend, and it never really happened. I wasn't talking to myself then. I was going through the motions of everything and just going from work, home, family, all that, and just being the one that takes care of everything.
Gotcha.
It was the first time I had to sit back with myself, and I said, "Oh, should I take a month?" And I immediately was like seized up, like, "No, that's not enough time." It's like 2 months. Oh, that's still not enough time. 3 months, and that's when I was like, "Okay, I think I could be able to do all the things that I want to do for myself within 3 months," and that's the time I chose. And then I talked to my financial advisor and was like, hey, how can we do this so I can save up enough money for this? Because sabbaticals wasn't necessarily funded at the So you keep your stock, keep all your things going, but after a certain time over, I think it was about a month and a half or something, or a month, then you would have to pay for it yourself.
I love the aspect that you talk to your financial advisor.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Because a lot of people don't know what that looks like.
Exactly.
They don't know, can I take this time off? And there's like, oh, I can't do it. And they've never ran the numbers.
Yes.
So a good way to help you navigate the burnout is to know your budget, know your numbers, so you can dictate on how long you can stay out. So your financial advisor was like, hey, you can do 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. They gave you a definite time.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Gave me a definite time. And they also said, hey, let's put it out. So literally, I started planning in January. I didn't take my sabbatical until like end of March. And people were like, wait, how is that? How can you do that? It's like, well, I'm not at a point where I'm so broken, so need the burnout, so I have the burnout so much that I need to, even looking forward to it was actually invigorating me.
Oh, yeah.
So I was able to use those 2 months. I'm going to
Hey, you put in your PTO?
Exactly. I got to we got to figure out who that, I know we didn't do that. That was someone that, I will figure out the tag of that person that said it first, because I know, I just want to give credit where credit is due. But yes, I prepared the others.
Gotcha.
And it also gave me the relief to say, hey, I actually don't want to be a part of FedRAMP anymore, which was big too, because that was what I felt like I was known for. And for me to take a step away from that, to do the sabbatical, but also be able to say, I want to pivot to a different industry with the time I have with Amazon. That was also a life-changing thing. Even thinking of the sabbatical freed my mind up in a different way than I ever was thinking about before.
Yes. And so on those 3 months, what'd you do?
Ooh, first week, nothing. Let me tell you how hard it was. First, I always wake up and I'm checking email, phone, something. And it was even to the point where in order to replace the fact that I couldn't check phone, email for stuff, then I was trying to check other things. So social media almost got me. So I had to be like, no, it doesn't mean replace it with something else. It doesn't
that part, because social media adds distraction.
Exactly. So what it eventually did was I had to commit to nothing.
Gotcha.
It means waking up, getting some tea, sitting back, looking out the window, breathing, having conversations with myself, noticing things in my house that I ain't noticed before. My husband always gets flowers. Love these flowers, but I never really took time to actually, quote unquote, smell the roses.
Shout out to Chad for the roses.
Savage, exactly. And I'm looking at this arrangement on the dining room table that he did, and looking at the backdrop of the wallpaper behind on the shades, and I'm like, this is beautiful. Let me take a picture. But it was just, this is what I want to do today.
Yeah.
And feeling like there's some forgiveness of myself for being able to do that. Later on, I got a life coach, and my life coach has been working with me on, there is productivity in nothingness.
Oh,
There is
I love
something
that.
to this.
I love
You keep
that.
thinking, oh, you keep feeling guilt because you're not productive.
Yeah.
There was the week of doing nothing, and then there was the next week of forgiving myself for doing nothing.
Forgiving yourself for how you treated yourself.
Exactly, which honestly, I had to pivot. It was like, no, this is what I needed. In order for me to be productive,
Yeah.
I need this time to myself.
Yes.
It needs to happen. Then there's some family tragedy, so I ended up going to Houston because I'm not able to actually be there for my family. Normally, I would go to Houston if there's a family situation because if you're an oldest daughter or you're in that line of the family or the only daughter,
The only.
you are the one, even amongst cousins that are the most reliable, and everything happens, you gotta drop things and go. But instead of just going and coming back like I normally do, pay my respects and come back, I was like, let me actually spend some time with the family.
With them cousins.
With them cousins
in
in
the
Cleveland,
South.
Texas. It was great. Literally went to a cookout, played spades, talked to people that have heard about it but I've never met. Like reconnecting with family was the most amazing gift of the sabbatical
Yeah.
because it was a way for me to not just talk about work also. Like, oh, so I'm doing at work. I wasn't doing any work. So I didn't have that in the back pocket of this is what I'm going to talk about. It was like, what do I like to do?
Yeah.
They got to know me as a human being, not just, oh, the woman, the cousin that works up north in tech.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so they got to know you. You got to know yourself.
Oh, yes.
And when you were going through that, right, and you walked out of it, what do you think was the thing that you walked away from as a result, walked away with as a result of the sabbatical?
I am not my job. That's the first thing. I am not my job. I don't identify as just the principal product manager, whatever title I was then. At Amazon, I'm not that. That's not who I am. I'm a whole person. And there are some mechanisms that I need to do to keep myself in what I would call a peaceful state.
Gotcha.
That means, do I need to dance every week? Yes, I was just there yesterday. I love dancing. Why do I forget that I love dancing?
Yeah.
Go back and dance once a week.
Yeah.
That's easy. That's a 8:30 class.
I've noticed that everywhere around the world that you go,
Yes.
from Singapore to
Yes.
Germany to
Yes.
Seattle to New York to Atlanta,
Yes.
you find a dance
Yes,
studio.
I do. Absolutely. I will even have teams literally translate for me. Hey, could you call this dance studio and see if these times work out? Because the Google Translate ain't translating. So help me out. Thank you, Laura Preda from Bucharest, Romania. Thank you, Laura. You're my girl. Thank you, Elena from Yash, Romania. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Thank you, Dan in London. Thank you for helping things out for me to be able to get to so I can know what part of the city I'm at.
So
Thank
you've found something that you once lost
Yes.
before you got so deep into your career and
Exactly.
life, right?
Because I made a compromise to
Exactly. And so
Yeah.
now that you've found that,
yeah.
right, you keep that consistent because it helps you stay connected to you.
Yes. It's also like, what are we doing this for?
Yes.
If we're doing all of this work, if we're saving the world in different ways, and especially in cybersecurity, we're doing a lot of really intense work, and we do not have the time to really sit back with the fact that we are saving the mission of an organization.
Yes.
We are helping others.
Yes.
It's a lot that we're doing in this. Or we're making the company run.
That part. We are, as a cyber professional, we secure the mission.
Exactly.
Hands down. It doesn't matter what new tech comes in, our job is to secure the mission.
Exactly.
And so, but we secure the mission, but we can't forget about the mission that is us.
Exactly. If you don't show up to work feeling fulfilled, one, you're not going to find it at the work. Not all the time. Not every day. There's a lot of things that come into the work that we do, but not every day.
Like I tell people, like 92% of the time, I love being a cyber professional.
Right.
But there's that 8% where I just wish I could be on a beach somewhere.
Exactly.
And just get paid for laying on the beach.
Exactly.
Because you still need that break.
Exactly.
You need that dance time. Right?
Exactly.
You need that time with your kids. You need that time with your spouse and date nights. Because some of the other mechanisms that people tend to forget about not just, in the workplace, but outside of the workplace.
Yes.
Like we talked about earlier, daycare is a
Agreed.
mechanism, right? But leveraging it to its fullest extent.
Exactly.
And so that's one mechanism. The other mechanism that we think about is, like you said, having that thing, your outlet.
Your outlet.
Yes.
Things that
your
make you
outlet.
happy. And
Yeah.
also it's recognizing that you have to plan in advance.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big thing. That's one thing I learned about it. I love so much. I'm planning my next sabbatical literally right now. I'm planning it out.
Yeah, but is it a sabbatical that's going to be 3 months?
But yeah, my next big break. And also recognizing that vacation, just because you took vacation doesn't mean it was really fulfilling for you.
So
There's different types.
That go on vacation with their kid.
Oh my God. I forgot about this. The last part of sabbatical, this is me forgetting, is I took a vacation by myself. I went to Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Shout out to Robert Seipel, both of us.
My boy.
Went to his house in Puerto Rico, literally. He's like, gave me the keys, go have fun. And I was just there. I literally, if I wanted to go and just sit and read by myself while I was, eating some delicious fresh fish, that's what I did. If I wanted to just, I feel like going there and getting a coconut, I went and got one. And the one thing that I recognized out of that sabbatical was, people really don't understand what this is. Because when I said I was doing these things, immediately people's reactions was, without your kid?
Yeah.
Without your family?
Yeah.
You're just going by yourself?
Yes.
I'm like, you don't care, I'm traveling all around the world for work. And let's be clear, I love working where I work, but let's be clear, they just give you hope and a prayer when you travel by yourself. They don't do nothing for you. So what's the difference? I'm not bringing my family to
you
this.
get the SOS.
No,
You get the alert notices from travel.
Barely. That's only if something bad is happening. But generally, I have to get myself to that airport, out of that, and fed and everything on my own.
Yeah.
So why is there any difference? So if I'm doing this here by myself, a lot of people had something to say.
Yeah.
And I realized, wait, I think Trevor Noah on another podcast, I was preparing for this, so I listened to different podcasts, but Trevor Noah's podcast was talking about how we have outsourced the village. We have outsourced the villages, the people, the process, the mechanisms to make a family happen. And because he's outsourced that, people don't understand that now you do have time for yourself because, hey, my mother is right around the corner from me. I have a husband that is very active in my son's life and is a stay-at-home husband, and he takes care of a lot of things that I don't have to take care of.
Let me tell you, I love my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law lives
Yes.
with us. Shout out to Mommy, the Jamaican mother-in-law.
Yes.
And she keep it real 100
Oxtail's
all the
amazing.
time. Oxtail's amazing.
Amazing.
Yes. And so it is having that village,
Yes.
right, is huge.
Right.
Me, when I first moved to the DMV, it was just me and my son.
Yeah.
And so being a single mom, the only person I had to rely on was my cousin who was elderly.
Right.
And so it was very helpful. And so when I look back on, my cousin Freddie and my mother-in-law, we look at our village and, shout out to the villages that continue to,
Exactly.
to support one another. But then you also have those people, those families who move from out of state and they
That's
have
true.
no
They don't
one,
have a village.
right?
Yeah.
And so what I have found my mechanism for having a extended village is connecting with your coworkers. Some of my closest friends right now were initially my coworkers.
Yeah.
And so I know you and Nicole are tight, and
Yes.
me and my friend Lynn, she, we're tight. She's my daughter's godmom. So when you look at creating that village, work can also be that, and you can balance each other out.
Agreed.
And so looking at, taking that step to take that sabbatical, taking a sabbatical, building those mechanisms.
Yeah.
Those help you navigate the burnout and come out on the other side of the burnout.
Agreed.
Unlike my friend who committed suicide, he felt that he didn't have those resources.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to make sure that in these segments, we talk about mechanisms that allow you to navigate the burnout, because we do not want any more suicides.
We
want to reduce the amount of burnout because we love the profession, but in the same token, we want people to stay in the profession. I know a lot of people have talked about, I want to get into cyber. Let me tell you, cyber is a hard profession, and I'm just gonna say it out loud. all cyber professionals are not created equal.
Agreed.
And when you come into the profession, you want to make sure you have mechanisms, you have a strong foundation. And when life happens, because it does, and when an incident happens, because it does, you want to have the mechanisms, the tools that you need to help navigate and come out on the other side to allow you to be, that provides you that resilience to take it to the next level.
Resilience is key. And I think that a lot of people think, oh, I got to build resilience. It means I need to know the tools. I need to understand the process from a cyber perspective so that my systems are resilient. They are just as resilient. They're only going to be as resilient as the people that come with it, that create it, and that they know what's necessary, that have the time to look around the corner and be able to put things in place.
So this is one of the reasons why we decided to do this podcast.
Absolutely. So I think before we wrap everything up, I want to go into some of these tools. Can you talk, Cynthia, about what a leader can do to prevent burnout? And you've talked about it we've talked about this all throughout, but if there was ever like a call to action or something to as a leader, what would a person need to do to be able to prevent burnout for themselves and their teams? And I'll talk about what people can do as individuals.
Sure. As a manager, as a leader, I would say the biggest thing from a cyber perspective that you can do is support secure by design. Secure by design, in my heart, is a mental health practice because it allows you to catch the challenges, the vulnerabilities of a product prior to it going into production. It allows your team to see what's coming down the pipe and help resolve things up front. Because if you get it up front, it's a lot faster, costs a lot lesser than getting it once it gets into production. Because that not only is it hard to secure and harden and do all these things when it's in production, but it's also competing with other major efforts that's in production. And then what it also does is if something happens and the team has to respond, you don't want them to have to do ad hoc response because that's very stressful. You want them to be able to see the history of a system, of a product, and be able to take that and be able to respond appropriately. Because let's be clear, whenever a new product comes out like AI, it's not that it's I'll say the challenge there is integrating it. Right?
Or if the data isn't necessarily available because it's all not connected together, that's a whole other thing.
Yes, it is. And so integrating new technology it helps you uncover your weak spots across your entire environment because then you identify any privacy dilemmas, legacy system issues, interoperability issues. These are all things that when it comes and you think, oh, it's just a deployment, it is absolutely not just a deployment. The cyber team has to deal with all of that. And if none of that is documented, it's a challenge. So for me, Secure by Design as a mental health practice and a tech practice is golden.
Okay. Now, for individuals that are talking, it could be also for leaders too, but specifically for people that are ICs that are working and doing their role to be able to support a greater mission, right? One, I've seen so many people say the words, oh, when it gets less hectic, when it's less busy, then I'll take a vacation. Hell to the no. Let's be very clear. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. You cannot plan for your self-care like that. You need to proactively plan for your vacation, your PTO, plan it all out. And then build the work around it. That's really how it needs to go. Act like you work in Europe. Honestly, whereas like you're taking, I love working with European colleagues because they are the most real. I love them so much. And they honestly have a better understanding of how this works. The burnout can happen. Crazy times at work is going to happen. The only way to prevent it is putting those times out automatically for yourself. Something you can look forward to, so make sure that that's there. But also be flexible. When I say be flexible, it means what you do with your time, it's okay for it to be nothing. It's okay for, and when I say vacation PTO, I'm talking about the vacation PTO that's you. So for the moms out there, for the dads out there, for people that are always taking vacation, more so to deal with personal family situations or things that just need to get done, that doesn't necessarily mean you actually took a vacation in the year.
And that's why I love girls trips.
She taught me all about what a girl trip really is, and I am so thankful for that.
Very relaxing.
Very relaxing. Oh my gosh. And also make it purposeful. So if you're going to do nothing, purposefully plan around that you're doing nothing. If you're going to go away on a retreat somewhere almost, or you want to just go and just rent like a staycation.
Or staycation.
A staycation just in the area, but just you by yourself, even when your house, everyone else leave. And you're in your house. Plan for what you actually want to do and make sure that you come out of it doing exactly that thing. If it's, I want to read this book, I want to play piano for a little bit, or I want to learn a new skill, or I want to spend this time just connecting with myself. Like, that's okay. That's also productive, because once you get back to work, once you get back to the daily grind, not even just work, daily grind of just managing your family, you will come back invigorated and refreshed.
Oh, yes.
And that's the point that you want to get to.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, you want those ideas to be flowing as a result of it. And that's how you know that it's time to go back.
Exactly. And then also boundaries. Setting those boundaries with work. I'm not the one to say that I'm the best when it comes to boundaries. I'm still working on it. We all
Depends
are.
on the environment, the company, the team, the boss.
Exactly.
All right? You have to set all those boundaries.
But you have to understand, if you don't set any, then literally you have none. That's literally what that means. You have none.
Yeah.
And it means that your time is out of your control. And then communicate those boundaries. Don't be afraid to communicate those boundaries. That's also a part of setting them.
And when we think of resilience by design, these are the mechanisms and the tools that we offer the audience.
Yes.
We want you to take these tools and use them in your day-to-day activities, because we know burnout is real.
Yeah.
We've both experienced it. We understand how to navigate it so that and we offer this to you so that you can bounce back on the other side. And with that being said, Alexis.
Thank you for joining us on Resilience by Design. If today's conversation resonated with you, please share it. Share it with others. It's going to be important. Because remember, the biggest cyber risk isn't technical. It's ignoring the human system under pressure. Until next time, stay resilient.
This is Dr. Sutherland and Alexis. See you guys later.